Hi everyone, this is a quick tutorial video on the purpose of the survey that I'm having you do. So in the previous paper, all you needed was a local newspaper and an interview, and the local newspaper could be the web version of it. For this paper, you can see from the prompt that you need a local newspaper, a website, a small informal survey, and an interview. So you want to interview somebody new for this paper so that you get a variety of sources. Now that doesn't mean you throw out what you've gotten from your previous interview or your previous newspaper. It just means that you add to it. So for this essay you have to have 4 sources. Um, and one of those is that small informal survey. So scrolling back up, you see that I have a whole bunch of information on how to do that. How to create the survey in Excel, that's a video, template, survey template in Word, graph template, what it looks like, and then some links on how to design a survey, how to do charts in Excel, saving it as an image file, and that those tabs all go over the mechanics of it. The question I've received from some of you is what am I supposed to be doing for the survey? Well, that goes back to the prompt of Essay 2. The prompt is write at length an illustration of a particular issue your community faces. What is the issue and why is it an issue? So once you've established an issue in your community, you can then start coming up with some pretty simple questions that you can survey people on. Some of those questions might be things like, let's see here, let me open a new document. So we have the list. Things like, I know some of you are writing about your hometown. You might decide if drugs is an issue in your hometown. You can say, are drugs an issue in, and we'll just say Buna because that is the first hometown that comes to mind. And then you would take your responses and you can post this since you're an online class, you can have to do this digitally. I doubt you have enough connections to ask a good enough sample of people. A quality sample is probably going to be around 30 people or more. And then you would send this out, let's say through Facebook or email to friends and family, to others, say I'm doing this for a project, and get their responses. And you can set it up with a yes, no, and just tell them to uh, mark next to your answer. And that's a simple survey. Now let's say you do this survey with 25 people and you've got 18 say yes and 7 say no. Well, then you would take that data and you would set that up in Microsoft Excel. So you would open up Excel and you would want to uh, open a new document here, and then I have the videos that tell you how to do that, how to set that up. And there's a survey template. Let's download that template actually. And it's already set up for animal attacks, as practice. But you can change this, so you can change this little section here, enable editing, and you can delete all the information. And delete this as well. And you can start with your question, are drugs an issue in Buna, Texas. That would be your question. Of course, you wouldn't want it to go there. Let me fix that. So you would go here. Let's see, I got distracted by that email, I apologize. Delete. Alright. You could go up here and you say, are drugs an issue in Buna, Texas? And then you would have your answers, and your answers would be yes, and you had 18 say yes, and then you had no, and not though, no, and you had 7 say no. Now you have to go in and you have to create a chart off of this. So when you select this data, you go in and you look for, let's see if it's insert, you look for a chart. In this one we can say a 2D pie chart, yes, no. And then we want to change the title of it. So we're going to insert, there should be a way to insert the title. And again, this is all shown on the video. So let's say we went with this, and then we made it bigger. We want to add, let's add this, and then we're going to put in the title. And then you have this data and you have this set up. Now the next thing you do is you can copy this directly into a Word document. And then you would write around it. Now one of the things you have to do too, once you've done that, is to cite this correctly. So if this was the body of a paper and this was the first image you had in it, you'd say Figure 1, survey, are, and that should be italicized, are drugs an issue in Buna, Texas? And then you would give the date of the survey. And then in writing about the survey, you'd write about your process, completing the survey, the type of people you asked the questions, to if it was a Facebook survey, you would put that. If it was an email survey, you would put that, and on and on. So then you would also enter this in your works cited, which should always look something like this. It should always be the last page of your paper. You want to go in and make sure that you left justify, and then you're going to go to Al at Purdue, email sounds. There it is. You go to MLA formatting and you want to look for citations, other common sources would probably be the best place. So an interview, published interviews, online speeches, published conference, sculpture, films, recorded television, sound recordings, spoken word, digital files. So the closest thing we have here is something like a painting or sculpture, and we would have to take this and adapt it. So we would say something like, let me make this smaller because it also has a photograph. You know what we can also do is we can just do a general search. A format. And then they have this down here. A survey is not something generally cited. Since you conducted it online, I would suggest for a work cited online for web, include as much as possible. So we can go here, and it takes us back to this. So we would include the author's name, which would be you. So I'm just going to put rather Michael. And then we would include article, name, and quotations. Since this is a survey, we would put that in quotations. Survey, I'm going to say it was conducted on Facebook. Notice how that's in quotes. So then the next thing we need is the larger item that we have for it. So what we have is the website that it's ran off of, you could say. In this case, Facebook. Website titles are website titles are in italics, web page titles are in quotes. And then you would put the date of the survey, since we don't have any of this other stuff. And you don't have to put the URL, obviously, for it. So the date of the survey, 19 July 2016. And then you have your works cited entry. You want to make sure that that's double spaced, because everything in an MLA paper is double spaced, and that you're also using hanging indents. Which if you watch, you see how I've done that. And that's how your works cited page should look. Now, I wanted to talk also in this brief lecture video about some of the errors you're making. Some of you are putting your header or heading in your header. That's not what you do. You double click on that section like I showed you, and you select plain number, and then you put your last name, and that's the only thing that should appear in the header. Next, you're going to put your name, my name, the course section and number, and I'm just going to use 80 for simplicity's sakes, and then the date. Keep wanting to put 2017, I'm getting ahead of myself. And that's how your paper should look. So when it goes to the next page, in this instance, the last page of this is my works cited. The only thing that appears in the header are the page number and the last name. all that other data should only appear on the first page of the paper, and that's when you put your title and you start writing it. So I hope this quick tutorial video helped you all. If you have any questions, post to the Q&A. Don't forget that you need this Figure 1 citation and the works cited citation. I want you to do both so I know what method you used. In this case, I can change this over to an email survey. There is another way to do this survey instead of just going out and sending these questions via Facebook Messenger or email, or meeting people face to face if you want to. You can also use the software called SurveyMonkey. Where it creates surveys for you, and you would have to sign up for free, and you'd enter all that information, and then it will walk you through the process. But just going through Excel like I showed you is probably the easiest thing to do. Alright, so to review, you have to start working on Essay 2, which is due Sunday. I did correct that due date. You have the prompts all the way down at the bottom. Don't forget to complete the self-evaluation. That's 15 points to the essay. I provided an organization template for you as well, so you can see how that works. Another note from Al, so to help you with citations. Some of you had some major subject-verb issues with your papers, so this lesson and quiz is there to help you. You have to submit the Information LibGuide certificate that's showing that you've completed it on their website. And then you have all this how to do the chart on D2L. It explains you how to set that up and put that in your paper. The essay does require 4 sources: a local newspaper, which in many cases with small towns in the area, they don't have their own paper still, so you might try the Beaumont Enterprise. Our KGOT, I think, is the radio station that has a lot of local information on it. A website, a small informal survey, and an interview with a community member. And I'd like it to be another community member than the one you interviewed the first time. And this time I really want you to really use the question of the issue that you want to talk about to drive stories, to get information from those people, so that you have some stories to integrate into your papers. It'll make your papers much more interesting. So that's week 2 pretty much in a nutshell. We're 2 days into it. Hopefully all of you have completed the things that make writing teachers cringe quiz, and you've done a good job on that, because I did see a lot of those errors in the first paper. Alright, that's all I have for this lecture. If you have any questions, message me on the week 2 Q&A so that I'm not answering the same question 20 times. Your question may be a question that one of the other students has.